Hey, video game fans! I'm Push Dustin.
And I'm Ben Bertoli.
And this is Memory Card.
We have a steaming bowl of new gaming history to share with you, so we hope your ear holes are ready for all the cool facts.
Yeah! Ear holes!
Let's just boot up episode 5.
So today we'll be talking about limited edition consoles, those bling bling gaming machines.
Right, and we're gonna both be the experts on this one. So we're gonna go back and forth just like we did with the game controllers and explain some of our wackiest favorites here.
So I'll be starting this time, and the first console that I would like to talk about is the Hanshin Tigers GameCube. Now, this one's not too wacky, but it's still pretty interesting. So the Hanshin Tigers are a baseball team in Japan. They're based in Osaka, and it's kind of like the Red Sox of Japan.
They're pretty popular, right? Like one of the most popular teams.
Yeah, they're one of the more popular teams. Their fans are pretty intense. They are known for being crazy.
And releasing live tigers on the field.
Exactly. No. But the Hanshin Tigers, they're quite fanatic, and in 2003, Nintendo was like, hey, we're going to make a console just for you. And so that's what they did. At the time, the Nintendo GameCube was not selling so hot. It had a price drop, and they were also including a version which was called the Enjoy Pack Plus in Japan, which had a Game Boy player attached to it. So that way you could also play those Game Boy games on the home screen. So the Hanshin Tigers GameCube, it was actually part of that series. It came with a Game Boy player, also a GameCube controller, which was unique, and a uniform.
When you say a uniform, do you mean just like a shirt or like a whole outfit?
Just a shirt.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. The GameCube itself and the controller, they have like the stripes, black and white stripes, kind of like a baseball uniform.
They're not orange, like a tiger?
No, it's not orange.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just black and white. So the Hanshin Tigers, it was being sold for about 27,700 yen, or at the time $240.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. The actual numbers that they produced of it is still disputed, but it was probably a little bit more than some of the other special editions that were released in Japan. The reason that they made it in 2003 is because the Hanshin Tigers actually clinched the magic number that year. The magic number in Japan is when a team is more than likely to win the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
So the Hanshin Tigers, they won in 1985, and then since then they didn't win for a long, long time. Again, kind of like the Red Sox.
Oh, I see.
After they won in 1985, the Hanshin Tigers fans actually threw a statue of Colonel Sanders into the river.
Why?
Because it resembled the first baseman, Randy Bass.
But, because they were happy?
In their celebration, they threw the statue of Colonel Sanders into the river. Since then, they didn't win, so there was a long belief that the Hanshin Tigers had the Colonel Sanders curse. The statue was actually recovered in 2009. So they won with Colonel Sanders still in the river.
That's amazing.
But yeah, anyway, the console came out, came with a Game Boy player, had a pretty cool controller.
All right, well, as far as weird, I guess it's not that weird. It's baseball themed console. Okay, I'll give it like a 6 or a 7 for weird. Cool factor, it's kind of cool. I'll give it like an 8.5. But I'll tell you right now, it can't outdo the coolness of my first console, and that is the 2004 Mountain Dew Xbox.
Ooh, gamer fuel.
Yes, exactly. So, there's all the memes and such about Mountain Dew and how it fuels all of us gamers to the max. But the Mountain Dew Xbox was a limited edition Xbox that was only available through a Mountain Dew sweepstakes. And it was kind of weird because you had to pay $100 and you had to pay for shipping.
Mm-hmm.
But you also had to acquire 550 Mountain Dew points.
Oh.
and like put that towards it, which I guess is why it was only like $100.
It was like a sweepstake as well, or
It says it was a sweepstakes, but you just had to like show up the first day that it was available, like online or something, to reserve it. So
Okay.
less of a sweepstakes, more of just like drink a redonkulous amount of Mountain Dew. Because I thought like, oh well, maybe every can was 1 point and every like 20 liter was 5 points. But the breakdown was every 20 ounce, every 1 liter, every 2 liter, they're all worth 1 point.
Oh, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, but you're essentially having to buy like 550 Mountain Dews to
Yeah.
get this thing, which is ridiculous. I think you could get like 3 points if you bought like a 12 pack, and maybe like more if you bought like bigger amounts of them. But essentially, you're looking at spending $550 on Mountain Dew before you pay the $100 to buy it as well. So this thing was, it was like Mountain Dew green. It has this little like jewel piece on the top that says like Mountain Dew limited edition. There were 5,000 units made. Like that was it. And the very first day that they went up for reservation online, they were immediately sold out.
There's actually a lot of people who drink more than 550 cans of the Mountain Dew.
Apparently, it also came with Project Gotham Racing 2 or Amped 2. I think you got to pick which one that it came with.
Okay.
But the weirdest fact about this Xbox is that there is currently one underneath the couch that's like 15 feet behind me.
Oh.
Because my cousins who live in Ohio somehow got their hands on one. I don't know if they put in the 550 Mountain Dew points, but about 2 years ago, their mom was cleaning out the basement and was like, hey, Ben likes video games. And she was like, do you want our limited edition Mountain Dew Xbox and all of these games for free? And I was like, heck yeah, I do. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't even like Xbox that much, but yeah. So that's one of the rare consoles that I own, despite not being big into Xbox.
Or Mountain Dew.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's also a Taco Bell Xbox 360, but that's a story for a different time.
I've heard about that. That like actually makes the Taco Bell sound, right?
Yeah, I think it does, which makes it that much better. But all right, so what do you think? Mountain Dew Xbox.
In terms of coolness, it's obviously a 10 out of 10.
Yes, true.
And for weirdness, I would say it's about like maybe a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because I think it actually makes a lot of sense. It's kind of on brand for Mountain Dew, and also the fact that Xbox is like typically associated with green and Mountain Dew is associated with green. It just seemed like a natural choice.
True. All right. What's your number 2 console?
My number 2 is actually the Game Gear.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'll be talking something non-Nintendo for once. The Game Gear that I'll be talking about is the Ray Earth Game Gear, the Magic Knight Ray Earth. And it came out after 1 million Game Gears have been sold. Sega started like the Game Gear +1 series.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ray Earth is the sequel to Everyone Loves Raymond, correct?
Yes.
The sitcom?
Yes.
Okay.
Where Raymond actually takes over the whole Earth, and
Deborah!
It's like the end of Evangelion.
But with Ray Romano. We got to pitch this to Netflix. Oh, I'm sorry. So what is that series, though? I have no idea what that is.
So the Ray Earth is kind of like a magical girl series, which has 3 girl protagonists and it looks like a rabbit. That character kind of guides them on a quest where they have to like defend the realm. I'm sure I pissed off a lot of people with that summary, but basically magic girls with swords and robots, I guess.
Okay. And so what was the connection? There's a video game for the Game Gear?
Yeah. So the +1 series that I mentioned before is basically a Game Gear that was packaged with 1 game. +1 of a series would eventually be renamed to the Character Pack. And Ray Earth Game Gear was the first one that was in this series, and it went on sale on December 16, 1994.
What did it look like?
It was red. The whole Game Gear was red.
Nice.
And then it had a Mokona and a little amulet, I think the symbol of the series. And then it also came with a game, the Magic Knight Ray Earth game. And if you bought the game with the pack, like if you bought the pack and the game with it, the game would be red.
Oh.
But if you bought the game separately, then the cart was black.
Oh, very collectible.
Yeah, it's basically just an exclusive Japanese Game Gear that came out for a really popular TV show.
Okay, well, Ray Earth Game Gear. Let's see. It sounds pretty weird, especially for a Game Gear. I'm gonna give it like a 7.5, maybe an 8 for weird.
How about coolness?
6. I really don't know, but it's a fantastic lead into my next one because mine is also a extremely red handheld, and that is the Marlboro Atari Lynx.
Oh,
One of the only, I hope, handhelds to ever promote smoking in the entire world. So the Atari Lynx was kind of a flop handheld there, made by Atari in the early 90s, like 1990, 1991. It actually started out pretty well when it first launched. They sold like 90% of their original like units, so something like 50,000. And by the time it was done, it had sold a couple million. I think maybe even as high as 7 million is what they think, but it was going up against the Game Boy, and that is a hard nut to crack. So the Game Boy sold like 16 million units by 1995, and it was half as much. Atari Lynx cost something like $180 or something. The Game Boy had a better battery life, it came with Tetris, and just basically had better games overall. But at some point, somebody said, hey, you know what gamers love? Smoking a cool cigarette. And they reached out to Marlboro, or maybe Marlboro reached out to them. And somebody said, yeah, let's make a very like Marlboro red handheld console. Now, I've never seen this console in the United States. Actually, I've never seen it anywhere except for Germany. As far as I can tell, it only came out in Germany.
Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense because like the U.S. has like pretty strict regulations.
Yeah, I think they would get pretty mad if that was the case. But so on it at the top in German, it says the Marlboro Adventure Team. And if you've never seen an Atari Lynx, it's got like a D-pad on the left. It's a pretty wide system, and then it's got just this weird array of buttons. They got 2 on top, 2 on bottom, and they're kind of surrounding a speaker. It has a very like wide horizontal screen. There wasn't much to like. This was one once again where you had to get like a certain number of points in a magazine, like a Marlboro catalog, and then you could buy it. I don't think you really had to pay anything extra, except for maybe shipping and handling. It's just such a weird, like, you know, Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, okay, but like Marlboro, that's just, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the right demographic on a couple of different levels.
Yeah.
Handheld gamers, I don't think are super into smoking, and I don't think smokers are like super big into handheld gaming. I don't know.
They're just trying to market to more
Men?
whatchamacallit, like adults. Yeah, and that too.
I guess Marlboro had some issues with men wanting to buy their cigarettes in the first place, and so that's why they made the Marlboro Man, famous like rough and tumble cowboy. So maybe this was the next step, like oh, men love cowboys, men love video games.
Yeah.
Especially German men. So the rumor on this one is that only 50 of them were ever made. Don't know if that's true, but if it is, that means it's an extremely rare handheld to find if you ever stumble upon one.
That kind of reminds me, there was a GameCube Heineken.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just like a normal GameCube, but the jewel plate, the round plate in the middle, it just says Heineken on it, and I don't know how you got it, but
Poor life choices.
It's extremely rare, and I think it was released in the States.
Yeah, that's the weird duo there. The Marlboro Atari Lynx and the Heineken GameCube. Your life is in ruin. All right, so what do you think? Weird factor?
Weird factor, probably like a 9.
Yeah, it's pretty high up there, I would think. Cool factor.
I gotta do 2. 2 out of 10. Don't smoke, kids.
Exactly. No smoking. Can't promote that on here. All right. Third and final consoles. Let's hear it.
The last one that I'll be talking about is a console that's fit enough to be for the royal family. It is the Gold Wii.
I say.
This was a marketing stunt that THQ did way back in the day when Wii was live and kicking. Basically, what happened was that they heard that the Queen really liked playing Wii Sports. So they thought, hey, maybe she would enjoy our game as well, which was Big Family Games. It was a collection of mini games that THQ made. So they decided to make an exclusive Gold Wii and deliver it to the Palace in the UK.
Did she accept it? Did she slap it out of their hands onto the ground?
So I don't think it was actually accepted.
Oh, man.
It just kind of got passed around. Right now, it's in the Netherlands.
But passed around by who? Like game collectors or?
Yeah, like game collectors.
Man, I think the Queen was just hard up on, needed some cash, and she probably like pawned it, put it on eBay.
The interesting thing is that the console came with a gold console, a gold Wii remote, and a gold nunchuck.
Now, are we talking gold spray paint or actual real gold?
Gold spray paint.
Okay.
The nunchuck is currently missing.
You know what? I have a gold nunchuck downstairs in my collector's case, but I got it from Club Nintendo.
Yeah, that's the Zelda one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different variation.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Maybe Nintendo accidentally sent me the Queen's nunchuck.
The Queen's nunchuck.
That's the best James Bond movie title ever.
Yeah. It's the most powerful weapon.
Yes, in all the world.
I dare say.
How about you? Just gets you on top of the head. The only thing keeping the Queen of England alive right now is her gold nunchuck. She was like, yeah, I don't want that. And then she took the nunchuck with her, though.
Yeah. She's like, but I do need a nunchuck. I can't find mine.
Oh, man. Okay, so let's see. Cool factor. That's pretty cool. Gold Wii, given to the Queen, potentially. I'll put it up there. I give it a 9. 9 for cool. Weird. I guess it's kind of weird. It kind of makes sense, I guess, that you would want to bestow that upon royalty. So, all right, like a 6, I guess.
Okay.
All right, so you know how your last two kind of led into mine really well?
Yeah.
This one does not. This is the opposite. This is the opposite of royalty. So the Game Boy Advance SP comes out in 2003. This is like the ideal way to play the Game Boy Advance. It's got the clamshell design. It's backlit. Before Apple decided to get rid of the headphone jack, Nintendo did it. Super trendy. But there's all sorts of cool special editions. There's like a Pikachu one. There's a Legend of Zelda one. But the coolest / lamest is the Tribal Tattoo Game Boy Advance, which has these big black, like swooping tribal tattoos all over it. I mean, it's just horrible, but it's so horrible that it's great. It really is. There's one on the front. There's 3 on the inside. And I think possibly best of all, there was an official Nintendo ad for it that featured Mario, who had his sleeve rolled up, and you could see that he has a tribal tattoo, which just, is official canon now in the series. And the tagline was, if it's cool enough for Mario, ... then apparently you should get it.
Mm-hmm.
I need a tattoo of Mario with this tattoo on me, is what I'm thinking. But yeah, I mean, it's just like the most bro-y tie-in I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who saw that and was like, yeah, tribal tattoos. I guess the same kind of people who get tribal tattoos.
I'm looking at the ad right now, and you can get like 4 exclusive MP3s.
Whoa, hold on. I'm going to get to that. Yeah, let's talk about this. So if you register the fact that you bought this on something called... Do you know what Winamp is?
Yeah, I had Winamp.
But I had no idea. Somehow that completely passed me by. So if you bought this Tribal Tattoo Game Boy Advance, there was all these perks that you would get. You would get an internet browser, whatever that means. I mean, like, I know what an internet browser is, but I don't know how you can give someone a new one for buying a Tribal Tattoo Game Boy. You get wallpaper changer. You get 5 wallpapers. You get a screensaver. You get a Winamp skin. You get 4 exclusive MP3s. And you get 500 stars, which I don't know how stars were used in that program. But if we're talking Mario here, that's a lot of stars.
That's a lot of stars.
There was, like I said, quite a few different Game Boy Advance special editions out there, but none were quite so terrible as this one. And that's why I love it. I don't own one. I would sure love to. All right, so what's your ruling on this one?
Cool factor, maybe like a 6.
17. Oh, okay. 6 is good.
Because, tribal tattoos are, they're gone. It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
No one's doing it. If you do it, you're kind of weird.
Mario killed it.
Yeah, thanks, Mario.
Yeah, really.
The hero that we didn't know we needed. And then weirdness factor, I would say like 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like who thought this was a good idea? And it came out in like Europe as well.
Yeah, I believe so. Someone at Nintendo was like walking around with their, sleeves rolled up one day.
Miyamoto was just like, that's it.
Miyamoto pointed over there and said, "That man, he's the future."
That's all from us for now. Thanks for listening.
We'd like to give a special shout out to Game Boy chiptune master Jamatar, who allowed us to use his track Midori, I still don't know if I'm getting that right, as opening and closing music. You can find more of his banging beats by searching Jamatar, that's Jamatar, on Spotify or visiting jamatar.com.
If you have any feedback on the podcast or want to recommend a topic, feel free to reach out to us via Twitter. Ben can be found at SuperBentendo, and I can be found at PushDustin.
Be on the lookout for the next episode, dropping soon.